If you have not heard, there is a huge announcement that has come from Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk pretty much at the same time. In a sense, yes, Tucker Carlson was removed from Fox News. I told you he's probably going to go on to do something different, but that we would see him again. As he mentioned in a previous video, I'll see you soon. He was not joking around. And it turns out that Tucker Carlson is collaborating with Elon Musk to do a show on Twitter. Let's get into this tweet and the video from Tucker Carlson, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the updates here and where Twitter is actually going to go. I think you might find this pretty interesting. Elon Musk says on this platform, unlike the one-way street of broadcasts, people are able to interact, critique, and refute whatever is said. And of course, anything misleading will get community notes. I also want to be clear that we have not signed a deal any kind whatsoever. Tucker is subject to the same rules and rewards of all content creators. Rewards mean subscriptions and advertising revenue share coming soon, which is a function of how many people subscribe and the advertising views associated with the content. I hope that many others, particularly from the left, also choose to be content creators on this platform. So Tucker Carlson is starting a show on Twitter. Let's hear his announcement.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind.
Did you hear that part right there? Most of the news that you consume is a lie. The things that you can say when you no longer work for the network, like he's now able to admit these things. And this is what we've been telling you, those of us in independent media, that it's biased, the narrative is flawed. Someone has to sign off on those stories, and sometimes they are removed. Let's go on. This is interesting.
Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess. It's guaranteed.
So let's talk about some of those limits that he may be referring to. Any type of anti-war message, although I would say he's not anti-war, he's against the war in Russia and Ukraine, not so much other ones. He was for the Iraq war, but so were a lot of people at that point in time. Anti-war message, different narrative around the pandemic. What else don't they like? Calling out the billionaires, calling out the wealth issue. They don't tend to like that too much either. Calling out certain companies like Goldman Sachs or BlackRock. You probably won't get that aired on CNN or Fox News. Anything that goes against the State Department talking points, anything that goes against the status quo and does not please the network's donors. That is typically how it works. That's the thing about working for corporate media. You think you get to say what you want, but you don't.
Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech.
And that includes this one that I'm sitting on right now, because let's be real, YouTube doesn't allow it either. That's why I have to tiptoe around certain things, and I can't talk about certain topics on this particular platform. I can do so on Rockfin, maybe some on Rumble, depending on Rumble has censored people sometimes too. So you got to be careful with that as well. But no, there isn't.
The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
Now, I want to show you something. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner here, 25.8 million views, right? So how many views did Tucker Carlson get on Tucker Carlson tonight? What was about 3 million viewers while he was live or whatever? Twitter is a larger platform. You reach so many other people, which is why when I asked Kim Iverson if she would be the one willing to host like a primary debate with like RFK Jr., Marianne Williamson, Kim said she thinks it should be even bigger. It should be on something like Twitter. This is why you will get more views there. Now, there's more going into this. I want to get into that, I think, a little bit later. Let me finish up the Tucker conversation, and then I'm going to tell you what else is coming along with this, because it's not just Tucker hosting the show on Twitter. But Elon is making some big changes. But first, I want to tell you about this video here on CNN. So they did get into this discussion about Tucker Carlson, and I want you to see how they refer to his announcement here.
Tucker Carlson announcing plans to relaunch his show, this time on Twitter. Carlson made the announcement in a video posted to Twitter.
You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now.
All right, my panel is back. We also have Los Angeles Times op-ed columnist LZ Granderson and CNN media analyst Sarah Fisher is joining us as well. Sarah, Tucker went on to say that he's going to put his show on Twitter. What is a Twitter TV show?
That's a great question. I think we're all dying to find out. Twitter, of course, has character limits, but when you subscribe to Twitter Blue, its subscription service, you get a little bit more space. Now, you can add a video to Twitter, not a full hour-length video, though, Allison. That's going to require a lot of work on the back end.
Is that true? Is that necessarily true, what she just said? I'm live on Twitter right now. Do you guys know that? So the streaming service that I use, I'm able to stream on multiple platforms at the same time. So I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Rockfin. So is that true? And I think some people may realize that you can go live on Twitter. And I'm live, maybe 2 hours every time I live stream? Twitter seems to handle that just fine. In fact, I'll show you, for those of you who are not aware. And this is the piece I'm thinking about. They may not be aware of this. I don't think everyone realizes that you can do this. This is going to look kind of funny because I'm going to screen share. Oh, I'm shiny right here. Okay. Anywho, I'm just going to share my screen real quick and show you how I'm live on Twitter. Watch this. Whee! See? There's me right there. Trump Town Hall. There's the stream. See? So a lot of people don't realize this, but I'm also live on Twitter. Okay? All right. Let me stop the screen share. I just wanted to show you that because I don't think Sabby's everywhere. I don't think a lot of people realize, yes, you still can go live on Twitter. So maybe they're just not aware of that, or maybe Elon is going to try to do something a little bit different.
I would imagine if he were to do a show, it would be truncated, so it wouldn't be that full hour that he had at Fox. And he might want to break it up, maybe put out some segments in different tweets, etc. But as I understand Twitter right now, they're going to have to race to build that type of functionality to get a full hour-long show there. Although they do have live functionality. So if he wanted to go live and put a Twitter show up, I think that would be possible.
That's probably going to be the best option for him to do. I would go live. But even if he doesn't go live, millions of people are still going to watch that show.
Okay, that's interesting. Tucker, you're also reporting, Sarah, that Tucker is accusing Fox of fraud and breach of contract. So how does he say they defrauded him?
So basically what he's saying is that Fox executives, with sources tell me are Fox's chief legal and policy officer and Rupert Murdoch himself, made these promises to Carlson, basically saying, look, if you hand over your personal communications, we'll safeguard it, we'll make sure that it doesn't get leaked. And then he's now saying, well, look, it's been leaked, it's been reported on in the media. And so you have then broken a verbal promise to me, and that, Carlson's lawyers are alleging, is a breach of his employment contract because the terms of an agreement between the employer and the person who is working for the company have changed. Now, of course, that was up to a court. That will be up to a court to decide whether or not that's actually going to be considered a breach of his contract.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, very much. Let me bring in our panel now. Josh, didn't they have to hand it over in discovery? I mean, why is Fox responsible for that? They can't be responsible for all leaks.
Well, I mean, there's a number of accusations in this letter to Fox, including that he claims that one member of the Fox board told him that it was a condition of the settlement that they would fire him. Now,
something Dominion has denied.
Dominion and Fox have both denied that. It doesn't make sense as something for Dominion to demand because Tucker was not even really at the center of their allegations. It was more about Maria Bartiromo and Janine Pirro and various other people. And Dominion doesn't get any real financial gain from them firing Tucker Carlson. So I think first thing I would say is just because Tucker Carlson has accused Fox of doing certain things in a letter doesn't mean that he's done all of them. Now, obviously, a lot of people have been speculating about various materials that have gotten into the media since Tucker Carlson's firing, including that text message in which he is commenting on this riot and saying, well, this is not how white people fight, and that Fox's concern was that people were going to find out that Tucker Carlson was racist and that was why they fired him.
News.
The idea that Fox was behind those leaks, I do not find that idea crazy, given.
The mustache is giving me Super Trooper vibes. Have you guys ever seen that movie, Super Troopers? It's giving me like the Super Trooper vibe.
Some of the ways that Fox has dealt with departing talent in the past, but I think this is all an effort to get out of his Fox contract, and that's been clear in the news coverage that Tucker wants to be out there in the arena. He's not allowed to go and do another show unless Fox lets him out of his contract, and so far Fox has been continuing to pay him. They can keep him under contract until after the next election.
I guess the bigger.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Just thinking about the fact that you may not be able to do another show until after 2024. That's crazy. You guys seeing the Super Trooper vibes? Someone said Reno. Lee said Reno 911. That's what it reminds me of, kind of. Yeah, I could see that. Brent said yes, Sabs. Yeah, I see, like Super Troopers or something. Huh.
Your question, guys, is what does this mean for the world? What does this mean for the world? If he doesn't have his powerful platform on Fox, which is a powerful platform, and it's on Twitter, does that, suddenly reduce his power?
I mean, I think his power has been so greatly reduced. Like, to say that you even have a Twitter show, we're all asking what that means because it's not a thing. Like, I upload videos of my dog. My dog does not have a Twitter show. So I think, you know, this is a man who has been embarrassed publicly, has lost his job publicly. This feels like a last gasp in the same way that Elon Musk owning Twitter feels like the last gasp of trying to be relevant. It's a dying social network, you know, like no one knows who's verified. The people who are verified are now unhinged. I just don't see what he gets out of this. And his audience is largely older, doesn't know how to have two-factor verification, especially not using their phone. So I don't see this as some great comeback. I see this as just diminishing returns in every way and embarrassing.
I think that's.
Let's talk about that for just a second. This could be a hit or a miss, right? Some people may say, yay, this is going to be awesome. I'm definitely going to tune in. What about the people who don't watch, you know, streaming content, don't have a Twitter account, do not want a Twitter account, and are not willing to create a Twitter account just so they can watch Tucker Carlson tonight? What about those people, right? Like, there are people who just don't want to be on Twitter. So that's a factor. So this can go one or two ways. This can actually really take off and be super successful, right? And it could take off within like the first month or two, and then it could die down. You never know. We never know when something is new, right? Or it could be a complete disaster because of the fact that some of his viewers who watched him religiously are not on Twitter and refuse to get on Twitter just to do that, right? So these are things that you need to think about. And there's more. Because this is not the only change that Elon Musk is going to make. There's also talks of him bringing a dating app to Twitter. Could you imagine? I told a friend of mine, I said, look, try to date people on Twitter if you want to. You guys have fun with that. I said, I'm so glad I'm married. You might end up with a Fed. Like, I don't know what to say. But yes, he wants to bring a dating app to Twitter. And then also, Elon Musk really wants to make Twitter a one-stop shop, meaning everything you can do from there. So it's like YouTube meets Twitter meets dating apps. So you'll have shows on Twitter. You'll have dating services on Twitter. I'm sorry, that was still funny to me. You have dating services on Twitter. You'll be able to write articles on Twitter, similar to how people do this via Substack. So he's trying to make it so that you will only want to come to Twitter and you'll stay there and handle all of your business there instead of going to all these different platforms to do different things. Now, again, this could be a hit or a miss. Some people on Twitter only want to read their Twitter feed and just tweet. That's it. Some of them don't want all this extra jazz. They may not want a talk show, right? They may not want to see a dating app. They just want to retweet people. So we'll have to see how this works. But it should be interesting. We're going to play a little bit more here, and then we're going to go to the next clip.
It's interesting, but I would also just caution that reports of his demise and of Twitter's may be premature because, you know, Tucker, I think, does have a grip on a large portion of America. And they, I mean, if you read the comments under his announcement, people are like, can't wait, you know, the hell with Fox. Like, they're ready to go wherever he's going.
Which is why the question about power we need to first define how are we defining power. You know, yes, he lost the power that he got from being on Fox. But what other power does he still have, and how is he going to use that power? Because as we saw, Fox was just one aspect of his influence. He's influenced in a lot of different areas in terms of everyday life. And while he may not have the same audience size on Twitter, he may not need the same size to have a similar or greater impact. So as we discuss this, power isn't simply about Twitter followers or simply being on television. Yeah. Power is what's happening in those rooms where it happens.
Well, one of the
Okay, so that piece there was interesting. Another clip I want to show you as well, because there's a little bit more that goes into this. Because I told you again, I said it can go one or two ways. Well, the perpetual shadow ban said, I don't think Musk is too worried. Last time I checked, the video of Tucker's announcement had over 100 million views in less than 24 hours. His 8 p.m. slot on Fox News averaged 3 million an episode. So, yeah, I mean, it can go one of two ways. But I want you to hear. Oh, did I put this on here twice? I think I did put this on here twice. Whoopsie. I did. Oh, I think I meant to put the other thing on here. Shoot balls. Let me take this off the screen. I thought that was the checkmate for mainstream media. Yeah, checkmate. So I'm going to show you this in just a second. But the other thing that I wanted to mention too, in reference to him changing Twitter and making it, like a one-stop shop, so to speak. Ad revenue is going to be a part of this as well. The same way we have ad revenue on YouTube, he's bringing that to Twitter. So for some people, they've already changed their accounts to where you'll see follow, and then you follow them, and then you'll see a button appear that says subscribe. And you can subscribe to that person just like you do on YouTube. And he's also going to bring in the ads. Now, here's the thing. This is where some people might not like this. That's why I say it can go one or two ways. Some people probably don't want to see these ads. Some people are like, how dare you bring these ads over to Twitter? And there are Twitter ads, but you can remove them. But this will be different. But this concept of Tucker Carlson doing this show on Twitter, whether it's a hit or miss, this is essentially, and I love this here, a checkmate. Thank you, Tonya, for this picture. A checkmate for mainstream media. So here's Twitter checking mainstream media right here. You got to love that. Got to love it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I love this comment here from Red. Elon trying to make Twitter the Walmart of social media. Yes. Oh, man. This is a doozy. Let's look at that poll, though. Go ahead, Eric. Let's bring up those poll numbers. How did you feel about that town hall? And we can talk about this tonight on Call In. Was the CNN town hall good or bad for Trump? 3% of you said it was bad for Trump. 82% of you said it was good for Trump. Wow, that's a lot. And 15% said not sure. So that is interesting. Interesting.